Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a philosophical framework that is going to completely reframe how you look at human communication. Because it turns out, talking, it isn't just about grammar or vocabulary. We're actually going to look at the literal, hidden, energetic mechanics of what happens to our bodies when we speak. It's a completely different way of viewing literally every conversation you have. I mean, have you ever tried explaining something to someone only to walk away feeling incredibly frustrated, physically exhausted, and just totally drained when they didn't get it? We've all been there, right? You feel like you've just run a marathon, but all you did was sit there and talk. So why exactly does that happen? How can mere words leave us so physically depleted? Well, part one, the energy of conversation, moving beyond just words. To really understand this exhaustion, we first need to completely reframe how we view talking by exploring the literal energy behind our daily exchanges. According to the source material, speaking isn't just making sounds with your mouth or vibrating your vocal cords. It is a literal, physical deployment of your internal energy outward toward another person. Think of it kind of like projecting a piece of your own life force across the table every single time you form a sentence. You are handing over something very real and very energetic. Now, when you share a thought and the listener successfully absorbs it, this beautiful, virtuous exchange happens. First, you deploy the energy through your words. Second, the listener takes in and absorbs that energy. And third, as a result, both of you actually feel physically lighter and clearer. It brilliantly illustrates why a truly great, connected conversation leaves you buzzing and refreshed, because when your energy enters them and actually benefits them, it clears up your own system at the exact same time. Which brings us to part two, illness from failed communication, when energy bounces back. Because what happens when it doesn't go smoothly? This is where we hit what's known as the backfire effect. If the listener cannot digest your words, that deployed energy literally has nowhere to go. It absolutely cannot penetrate their understanding, so it bounces right back to you, clotting and stagnating in your own system. Imagine throwing a heavy medicine ball to someone who flat out refuses to catch it. It just ricochets right back and hits you squarely in the chest. And this stagnation doesn't just annoy you, it creates an immediate feeling of heavy frustration. But it gets worse. This bounce-back energy creates actual blockages in your future thinking and problem-solving abilities. It stifles your personal development, and according to this philosophy at least, it can eventually manifest as long-term physical illness from the stagnant energy. You can literally make yourself sick over time by continually trying to force people to listen to and understand things they just aren't ready for. So moving to part three, the 4-3-3 knowledge rule, or the mechanics of digesting information. To prevent this dangerous energetic backfire, the source introduces a really powerful framework for processing what we know. 30%. It sounds surprisingly low, doesn't it? But this number represents the absolute maximum amount of your fully digested knowledge that you should ever use when speaking to someone. You should never, ever empty your mental tank when you communicate. Keeping that reserve is absolutely crucial to protecting your energetic balance. Here is how that rule breaks down in practice. 40% of your knowledge is raw input and learning, the everyday things you read, hear, and observe out in the world. 30% goes into the deep internal work of internalizing and condensing that knowledge. And that leaves only the bottom 30% for output and speaking. You should only ever speak from that heavily condensed, fully digested bottom layer. Because if you're using the fresh stuff floating on top, you're just regurgitating raw facts, which is, quite frankly, dangerous. This essentially means avoiding the trap of parroting information. Imagine trying to give life advice by just repeating an entire text you read about a dead philosopher without actually digesting the lesson for yourself, right? Contrast that with customizing the message. When someone comes to you, they don't want an audiobook of what you've read. They want your synthesized wisdom, tailored precisely to what they can understand and absorb in that exact moment. And here is the cautionary reality of this whole framework. If you merely repeat what you've heard without condensing it into your own truth, the listener just won't absorb it, and that energy will inevitably bounce back to strike you. Speaking undigested knowledge basically guarantees an energetic backfire. It might sound impressive for a minute, but their system will reject it, and you're the one who's going to pay the heavy energetic price. Part 4, reading the human sensor, spotting the signs of rejection. So how can you actually tell in real time if your energy is being safely absorbed or if it's about to bounce back?
Well, the source points out something pretty brilliant here. Humans are the most brilliantly designed automatic sensors. The human body acts as this highly sensitive instrument that physically reacts to energetic exchange. Someone might be nodding along politely to what you're saying, but their biology won't lie to you. It'll tell you exactly how the energy is flowing.
If you pay close attention, the physical cues of rejecting energy are incredibly visceral. When someone absorbs your energy, their face visibly blooms like a flower, their posture is relaxed, and their eyes are clear and alive. But if they're rejecting it, you'll see their facial muscles stiffen, their eyes will lose focus and start shifting around, they might start fidgeting with their hands and nervous habits. The source even points out something wild. You can actually see their healthy skin tone shift and their vein colors change as that energetic pressure builds up uncomfortably inside them.
The moment you notice these physiological red flags, you have to act to protect both of you. First, notice the signs of rejection and then immediately stop pushing your current point. Seriously, just drop it. Instead, step 3 is to abruptly change the subject to something fun and light. I know it sounds crazy, but you have to dissolve that heavy energy and relieve the energetic pressure for both of you before it does actual damage.
Which brings us to what might be the most profound warning of this whole framework. If you cannot make them understand, do not open your mouth. I know, it sounds incredibly blunt, but it's fundamentally about protection and respect. If you aren't equipped to customize your knowledge so that someone truly understands it, it is vastly better for your health and for theirs to just remain silent. So the next time a conversation leaves you frustrated and drained, it's really worth pausing to ask yourself, are you sharing deeply digested wisdom or just deploying empty words destined to bounce back and hurt you? Master your energy. Read the brilliantly designed human sensors sitting right in front of you and protect your peace. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this helps you look at your next conversation in a completely new light.